one of the bus boys at Lindbergh told me about Eric would come to the restaurant to get money from Dad. So that's how I found out about him.
And how far along was that? How old were you when you found out about that?
Well, he was a teenager when I found out about it.
How did that make you feel?
Well, it made, I didn't feel good about it, but I knew that he had accepted my child, so, and had been good to her. So I felt that this relationship was not equally, but I just felt that I should treat him the way he had been treating me.
Even though he had that child while y'all were
outside of marriage, even though these children was outside of marriage, I accepted this because of how good he had been to my child that I had outside of marriage.
Why were you able to stay with him through everything?
Because I loved him and he loved me.
Was there...
And I knew that I wanted, if I divorce or separate, it would affect my children. I didn't want that to happen. So that's why both of us just confess to each other about our relationships outside of marriage, and he forgave each other and started living the Christian life.
So you also had outside relationships when you were with Granddaddy?
With outside relationship, I said outside relationship. I had Tricia when I married. Tricia is not his daughter, biological daughter.
Was that the only
time? And he accepts her, okay. Yeah.
Was that the only time?
But the only time with the relationship, outside relationship.
Yes, ma'am.
No, that was not the only time.
Oh.
So I confessed that, and he confessed his, and we stopped having outside relationship and committed ourselves to Christ, to the Memorial Baptist Church. And that's when we started raising our family together. That's when the children started coming. That's when Cookie your mama was born, and Lord was born, and so forth.
Okay. But did you have any other relationships after those kids?
No.
Okay.
No. And I don't think he did either. Because Eric and this girl was already born.
Okay.
When we married.
Okay. So.
But I didn't know that. I didn't know it until after we married.
Okay. So, how do you feel about your daughters and your granddaughters and their relationships? What kind of message would you give to them?
How do I feel about what?
Your daughters and your granddaughters' relationships.
Oh. The advice I would give to them is to make sure that they know for a fact if they love, most of all, you got to make sure you love each other, because love covers multitudes of faults. If you love each other, you can work through your differences. I would recommend that you would not have a relationship while you are married, or it will not work. You have to stop. You have to make your mind up whether you're going to continue, whether you're going to stop. Or that will break up the marriage.
So, would you ever say that there's a time, because a lot, when I talk to the granddaughters, they wanted to know, is there ever a time in a marriage where enough is enough? Do you just continue a marriage just because, or when is the point where you need to make a decision if that's right for you or if it's not right for you? Like, do you stay in it just because it's a marriage?
I would recommend that a couple would talk to each other, love each other, and forgive each other and move on. I would recommend that no breaking up. I would recommend that you forgive each other, love each other, and move on.
So, I want to go back to your childhood. Do you feel like you had a relationship that I guess was a lot better than the relationship your mom had with your dad?
No, my mother lived with my dad in spite of. She did not leave him.
Do you think that's why you stayed with granddaddy?
Yeah. Because love covers multitudes of faults. Because he didn't continue to do that. He didn't continue to do that. If he did, she didn't see it. I mean, she wasn't aware of it. It was mostly then when he would drink uncontrollable and couldn't control himself was when they couldn't get along. His drinking habits. Not that he was flirting or women.
So, what about when granddaddy passed away? How did you feel at that moment?
I was upset. Because even though he had not been a good granddad, good father, but he did work and keep food on the table. And when I said not good, because he would want to fight and beat up my mama when she hadn't done anything. But that was because of the alcohol that he'd been drinking. It wasn't because she was running around, it wasn't faithful or anything. It was just that alcohol. That's why I said I didn't want to drink any alcohol. I didn't want to marry a man who would drink alcohol, because the alcohol would change the individual completely, mess up their mind, their health, and everything.
How did you feel when Wilbur died, when your husband died? How did you feel when he died?
I felt very sad, but I felt relieved because I had to take care of him. Because he got where he could not eat, and they was feeding him with baby food in a tube through his stomach. At first they had him on a machine that would feed him automatically. And this machine would run day and night. And because of the milk that was in the machine, it caused him to start hallucinating, vomiting out of his mouth, his nose, and that machine was just pumping. And I had this dream to have that machine removed and just feed him the way that I eat. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And the nurse said, no, said the machine said, she said, that would save the hospital a lot of money to remove this machine. She said, but he will die if you don't use this machine. And she said, yeah. I said, well, I had this dream, and my dream told me to give him food the way that I eat. So I suggest that you would feed him through his stomach 1 can of milk for breakfast, 1 can for lunch, and 1 can for dinner. He would only need 3 cans to survive. And that way, the milk would not be coming out of his mouth and nose and all of that. I said he was settled down. He would never off. I said because the way things now, his urine was not level. It was coming all in the bed. And he was, as I was saying, coming out of his nose. But when they started feeding him the way I suggested, the way I dreamed, everything just leveled off. He was comfortable. He could breathe. And he did not do any more of this bumping out of his nose and mouth and that. Everything just balanced.
And you're not even a doctor, and you figured that out.
That dream, I'm not a doctor, but the Spirit of the Lord had me to just figure that any person just not eat 24 hours. That's what in my mind. It's a balanced. You eat breakfast, you eat lunch, and you eat dinner. And that's enough to survive. And that's all you need to eat, enough to survive. And that came to me as a saying. The Lord gave that to me in a dream. So they removed that machine. And they start feeding him with this syringe. They put that milk through that syringe. 1 can for breakfast, 1 can for lunch, and another for dinner. And he lived for 2 years out there.
Did you know, I wanna switch it up now. I wanna go to a totally different topic because I wanna know more about you as a child. Did you ever know your grandparents?
No.
Okay, you never met them?
Nah. The exact said my granddad, Punk, was a slave, and that he lived, but where he got this information, I guess it was online. I have to ask him about that.
But you never met either one
I
of you?
never, all my grandparents were dead. Cause I'm the baby, so I didn't have a grandmother or a granddad that I know of. But this Uncle Pone, that this information that Zach find out online, I don't know about that.
Okay. Do you know of any older aunts and uncles? Had you met any of your older aunts and
No,
uncles?
none of my relatives.
Okay.
As I say, I'm the baby of the family, but so everybody would be dead. Was probably dead when I was born.
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
But 5 sisters and 6 brothers.
Do you remember?
12 of us.
Do you remember all their names?
Yes, I remember most of their names.
Can you repeat some of them?
There was Rosebud. She lived in Milwaukee. Rosebud, Eloise, George, now Lee Jr. was the baby, like baby boy.
And what was his name?
He lived in Atlanta for a while.
And what was his name?
Lee Jr. Jack, Amber, little Willie was a midget. Did you know about him?
No, man.
Yeah, he worked for the Making Peaches, and he helped send Mama some money because he kept food on the table.
What was the Making Peaches?
The Making Peaches paid ball,
Okay.
and he was their mascot.
Okay.
So they paid him money, and he sent money home to keep us food on the table.
What was life like growing up with them? How did they treat you? What was you all's relationship like?
It was I said normal. They knew that my mama and daddy was doing the best they could by working, keeping food on the table. And since I was the baby, most of them had a plug came to Macon. Of course, she was the one I told you that I came to and lived with, and she helped me. I would go to school. I went to Hudson High School. I lived with Hattiesburg and all. The others, Rosebud went to Milwaukee, and George, they said he lives here before Hattiesburg did. That's why she came, they said. That was my oldest brother.
So when you all were growing up, how many rooms were in your house in Butler? How many rooms did you all have?
Growing up, there was about there was about 4. I said about 4. 'Cause the reason I said 4. No, I don't think there was 4. Because Jack was there. Because he worked at the lumber yard with my dad. Abel got married. It was just about 2 of us with myself in the house. I was just baby. So most of them had left. I was the baby. But Jack, Ella, and little Jack, That was named after my